Welcome to the show. My name is Charlton with Big C. This is Charlton and Big C Sports, coming to you worldwide on the Big C Sports Network, on the #1 network in the United States of America. And Big C Sports has been voted the #1 sports show in the universe, according to Big C. And them good old boys down south, I want to say bienvenidos to all of our listeners in Latin America, also across the pond, London, England, as well as Paris, France. Of course, you good old boys in Africa, you know we love you, the Big C tribe. We love them in Canada. But there's no one we love more than the good old boys down south, in the land of the free and the home of the brave, on a beautiful November the 5th, 2018. Big C, how's it going for you good old boys down south?
Well, Charlton is going good. I think Alabama snuck by with a win on Saturday night.
Again?
And, everybody had this as the toughest opponent that they would face all year. And
yeah.
Even though that opponent could not score, I guess it was a nail biter, from start to finish.
Yeah.
But, even more devastating than that, Charlton.
Yes.
There's some talk in Tuscaloosa about, can they get the Raiders or the Giants on the schedule?
I'm sure John Gruden would not want to play the Crimson Tide because he would probably lose, Big C. And I'm sure his press conference would say, we just couldn't find a rush defense, Big C. That's what John Gruden would say after they lost to Alabama. All's fair in love and war. So much going on in the sports universe, from college football. We have high school football is amazing. They're even showing it on the mothership, Big C. They got the coach of the week now that Big C Sports did is Friday Night Lights. Also, we have NBA basketball is fantastic. When Magic shows up, he's going to fire you, but he's going to give you that. What do the dentists do before they pull your teeth? They give you some sedation first, Big C. That's what he's doing to Luke Walton. Everybody loves college football, NFL. But I first want to say, get out and vote, please. I watch so much in this world, and a lot of what we do now is possible because of the vote. Big C, I want to get your thoughts after I say this segment sponsored by your Northern California Cadillac dealers, home of the all-new Cadillac Escalade, the standard of the world. And when you go by and test drive yours, tell them Charlton and Big C sent you. Big C, why is it so important for people to vote? Your thoughts?
Well, first of all, Thursday is going to be the best day of the week, Charlton, because we get no more political ads.
Okay.
That's going to be number one.
Yeah.
Then all of a sudden, we're not going to get any more politicians lying about the other side any longer.
Right.
A great story came out today, last night.
Yeah.
Brian Kemp, who was the Secretary of State of Georgia, who was running for governor, who was already suppressed some 53,000 votes.
Wow.
He's holding the ballots to the side. He hasn't released them and stuff, said, they don't match the signatures.
Yeah.
But not only that, Charlton, he came out with a new story that the Democrats have hacked into the voting system in Georgia.
Really?
He wants the FBI to investigate. This is his, his 12th hour call in, for whatever he can to suppress the vote.
Right.
He's saying there's something wrong with the balloting. But he's offering no evidence, even to the FBI or even to the media. He's just saying he feels that the Democrats have hacked into the ballot system, of the state of Georgia.
Wow.
So that's the reason why you have to vote, Charlton, that these lies will stop. And you think about the anger of certain individuals to stop other individuals, other Americans from voting. It's an inalienable right, Charlton, that we all possess.
Yeah.
And I think about the state of North Dakota, where the Attorney General there has required that all Native Americans have an address, a physical address on their ID to vote. Now, Charlton, they were first here.
Yeah.
They were here. They're Native Americans. That's the reason why they say that. They live on tribal land.
Yeah.
That is free of mailboxes and all that because he was P.O. boxes.
Yeah.
But, you're even oppressing those people, Charlton, that were first here, saying that they are not American.
Wow.
And so, what? If you're not white, you're not American. It seems like that. And I'm not being racist. I'm just being factual. Watch the media. Look at the news. Who are you trying to keep from voting? You're trying to keep minorities from voting. African Americans, Hispanics, Native Americans. You're putting so much effort into keeping these people from voting because they have a say-so in their futures and their children's futures by voting. And they fought for decades to have this right. And you're doing every undermined thing to keep people from voting. Why is it so important to be criminal in a time of a right of an American citizen?
Yeah, what's amazing, Big C, is I was talking to a lot of educators here in Northern California. I know a couple of lobbyists. There's a lot of lobbyists. I think there's about over 1,000 lobbyists in Washington, D.C., and they're all trying to lobby for something. But today I saw something that was so disappointing to me when I got up this morning, and everybody can do what they want to do. And I was talking to some very prominent African-American women here in Northern California, Big C, and they said the same thing that you and I have touched on over the last couple of years. I watched how people get information. They get it through media. They get it through TV. They get it through radio. Everybody's going over the top advertising now, OTT. But I watched some of our brethren that have been put up on a pedestal as the go-to guys when it comes to the world of sports. They went down to Texas, Jerry Jones' place, and I saw some of our famous erstwhile NFL athletes, Big C, and they, just when I'm thinking, Oprah was just down in the South, down in Georgia. Well, these good old boys showed up in Texas. They didn't say anything about voter obstruction, which most of the people being obstructed look just like them or their parents or their kids, especially their grandparents. Big C, I saw these African-American men. They were so passionate talking about football players, who's the best football player, who's the best football team, who's the best running back, quarterback, etc. They said nothing about the vote. And for mainstream, I know they're embarrassed. Like, is that all you guys think about? Is who's going to win the game? And I want to get your thoughts on that because that's so sickening to me. And Jemele Hill just talked about it not that long ago when she was on CNN. Big C, your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, when people get to an economic place in society that think that voting doesn't affect them, then they forget about those who are left out.
Yeah.
So many people are disenchanted because of what's done to them in the case of voting.
Yeah.
You can have expired ID, and it's not good enough to vote with, Charlton. Even though it's an ID with your signature and your picture on it, but say if it's expired by 2 days.
Yeah.
I saw a report where the senior citizens in this one community were living it, and none of them really drove. This one lady was 93 years old. She's never missed a year of voting, but she no longer drove.
Yeah.
And her license had been expired, and her birth certificate no longer would pass for her to be able to vote. So she had to get transportation down to the DMV, Charlton,
yeah,
to get a new ID just to be able to vote. She's 93 years old.
Wow.
And she was stating, what am I going to do as far as an obstruction or an illegal vote? I'm 93 years old.
Yeah.
She's been voting, Charlton, for over 70 years. 75 years she's been voting.
Yeah.
And here it is, she's not allowed to vote because she didn't have a current ID. This is the state of America that at some time rationale needs to take place.
Yeah.
That be sensible about what you're looking at. You see, and this lady was white, Charlton.
Yeah.
She wasn't a minority, she was white.
Yep.
She'd been voting for 75 years, and they told her that she could not vote unless she had a current driver's license or ID.
Wow.
Which is asinine. Here are these people that have spent their lives as citizens and paid taxes, they retired, they get to a point of age in life, Charlton, where it's no longer advantageous for them to be driving or safe.
Yeah.
And you're telling them that they can't participate in a birthright, Charlton.
Yeah, I think that's a shame. And I know everybody has their own beliefs about whatever, but this country is for everybody, no matter what your color is. If you're media, whether you're TV or radio, news, sports, this is what people marched for. This is what people gave their lives for. This is what people fought for. Before we get on to a few scores that happened over the weekend, Big C, is there any message, and again, Ms. Hill said it so eloquently when she came on CNN, that still our brethren haven't done. And the one thing that really bothers me as an intelligent, erudite, well-read African-American male, oftentimes we look for somebody to help. Just help a little bit. I want to get your message. Everybody, Big C. What's your message to the guys on the mothership and other sports programs? They let the world think they're so dumb, intellectually vapid. They won't even talk about the right to vote. They're arguing about who the best quarterback is in tonight's game with Dallas and Tennessee. Big C, your thoughts?
Well, it's about their showmanship, Charlton, but they should show a little compassion for society. If you're that concerned about the people that are listening to you, lend some expert knowledge that you have about society to those people. Encourage them to get out and vote.
Yeah.
It's only one day out of the day of the month, Charlton, that they had to vote, the 6th.
Yep.
They could have early voted. They could have sent in a ballot, Charlton.
Yep.
But just speak that. Say it's important for us to keep doing what we're doing, is that you go out and vote. Let your voice be heard, just like you're listening to me on the radio, television, reading the print.
Yep.
Go out and vote. Let your voice be heard, just like you're hearing the voice of that broadcaster or that announcer, Charlton. It's very imperative that this is done.
Yeah.
But as long as people stay vapid and quiet, Charlton, this will always occur. You know, when we don't speak, you know, we are being silenced all over again.
Yeah.
Just like we were 60 years ago. We're being silenced because those who are in the forefront that can lead the way choose not to lead.
Yeah.
And they stay in the background, Charlton. They say, well, you know, it's not my fight. You do have a dog in the fight because you're an embarrassment to your ancestors,
Yeah.
to your parents and your grandparents
Yep.
who fought for you to have the ability to sit your butt behind that microphone and spew whatever you want to without having obstruction.
Yeah.
Because they didn't have the opportunity. Your parents didn't have the opportunity, nor did your grandparents have the opportunity. They had to hope that they could walk down the street without being accosted or beaten.
Yeah.
And you don't respect them in any light.
Yeah, and I mean, a lot of stuff, the obstruction happened in the South. They opened up Jerry Jones Dome tonight, so even the universe could look at the game tonight between Dallas and Tennessee. But the league is about 70% African American, and it's the African Americans that are having their votes obstructed. Women who look like their grandparents, and I see some of our black brethren who are just an embarrassment that they argue with such passion over who the best football player is, as they're obstructing the vote right behind their backs, Big C, right in front of them, and they say nothing. But enough of that. There's always a place for ignorance and sycophants in the world. Big C, I want to say to our brothers in Canada, where they don't have vote obstruction, the CFL, their playoffs, we pay homage to this Canadian Football League. The Eastern Conference, British Columbia, is at Hamilton. In the Western Conference, you have Winnipeg at Saskatchewan, and that's going to be happening coming up over this weekend. So we love football all over this place. And I just want to start a little bit your thought about tonight, NFL football. We had a great run down the weekend, and we'll get on some tonight's game, and then we'll touch on college football. Give me your thoughts, Tennessee at Dallas. Outside of a lot of ignorant people down there doing the game, give me your thoughts on the team that may have the advantage in this game.
Well, I'm going to go back to that one statement you just made. You said British Columbia at Hamilton. Isn't British Columbia in the West?
That's what I know. So does New Orleans Saints used to be in the West Conference, as well as the Carolina Panthers used to be in the NFC West too, Big C.
Okay, that threw me off there for a minute. You said they're in the East. Okay. Well, let's get to Tennessee and Dallas tonight, Jonathan. I mean, this is a game of 3 and 4 teams that have been struggling. You know, Tennessee has dropped a couple of games lately, Charlton.
Yep.
Marcus Mariota, they got to figure out if he's going to be the future. You know, he and Jameis Winston came out in that same draft, 1 and 2 in the draft, Charlton, both former Heisman Trophy winners. But Mariota's had an injury problem of late, Charlton.
Yeah.
And, you know, he's been prone to throw some interceptions also. He's thrown 20 interceptions in his last 21 games.
Yeah.
So he hasn't been just finding his own receivers, Charlton. He's finding the guys with the opposite jersey.
Yeah.
You know, the Dallas Cowboys have not lost a home game this year. They made the big wide receiver acquisition of Amari Cooper a little over a week ago, Charlton, from your friend out there in Oakland, John Gruden.
Raiders.
I don't like somebody else's number 1 draft pick, so I'm getting rid of all of them.
Yep.
You know, and you know, the thing about Amari Cooper, the Dallas Cowboys have to utilize him tonight, Charlton. You brought in this receiver who's supposed to be a deep threat.
Yeah.
You have to throw at least 4 to 5 balls to him tonight, Charlton, over 40 yards.
Yep.
They have to be in the air over 40 yards. If you brought this guy in for that purpose, to take the top off the defense, to open it up underneath for Cole Beasley, to open up the running lanes for Ezekiel Elliott, Charlton, this is what you have to do as an offensive coordinator. You know, Tennessee is going to gamble if they hit situations. They have nothing to lose. That's the mindset that Coach Vrabel is playing with. We have nothing to lose, so we're going to gamble on everything. But the Dallas Cowboys, to keep pace in the AFC East with the Washington Redskins and the Philadelphia Eagles, they can't afford to drop a game at home, Charlton.
Yeah, especially when you think that Tennessee actually lost to Buffalo of all teams. Let's run down some college football, and we'll cover up again with the NFL and some NBA at the end, Big C. Number 1, Alabama. I think they set a lot of people straight. And, you know, I want to say you got to at least take Nick Saban by his word, because a reporter asked Nick Saban, if you guys win the coin toss, are you guys going to defer or receive? And he said, I hope we go down and kick some blankety blank blank. And he told the truth, Big C. 29-0 beat down over LSU, and Orgeron's voice hasn't gotten any better or worse, Big Z. Your thoughts?
Well, he was left speechless, Charlton, after this game. His offense could do nothing, Charlton. They were held to less than 10 yards rushing in this game.
Wow.
You're talking about a formidable front that Alabama was presenting in this game, Charlton. They came with it defensively. Joe Burrows could not figure out anything against this great Alabama defense. And, even though LSU's defense held up their part, Charlton, because you think about it, Alabama only 29 points. That's what they averaged in the first quarter all year long. 29 points a game. And they held them in check the whole game defensively to just that. But there were some big plays made by Tua in this game for Alabama. I do wonder about the young man's health, Charlton, because this knee has not gotten any better as the season's going along. I know if he makes it through the season, he's going to have to most likely have some knee surgery to take care of whatever problems he has internally in that knee. But this Alabama team, Charlton, like I said earlier, they were putting in calls for the Raiders and the Giants to see if they could get a game.
Leave John Gruden away because he might trade all their players, Big Z, to another team, maybe Wake Forest. Number 2, Clemson, 9-0, and they had a nice 77-16 beatdown at Louisville. If there's anything as tapping out in college football, you think Louisville would have tapped out, Big C? Your thoughts?
Well, Bobby Petrino might be tapping out, changing his address after this season, the head coach of Louisville. I mean, without Lamar Jackson, he's had a hapless team out there, Charlton. But with Trevor Lawrence and what he has this, Clemson offense doing with Coach Dabo Swinney. Travis Etienne, the running back. I mean, 77 points. Even Dabo's son scored in this game, Charlton. And they just, you talk about taking them out behind the woodshed. They took them out behind the outhouse, Charlton.
And they dumped them in the outhouse. Big C, one time I was at a Raider game, they were playing the Chargers. Can you believe some of those guys from the Black Hole? When you go from the Coliseum, from the BART station into the Coliseum, there's a little ramp, maybe goes about 150 yards. And at the end of that ramp, they have some outhouses. I don't know why. And some Charger fans were in the outhouse. Would you believe some Raider fans tipped it over? It was a gross, Big C. But there's a reason they were leaving the Coliseum. Notre Dame, number 3 in the country. Saturday with a closer than expected win against Northwestern, 31-21. Notre Dame doesn't look like this should be in the same league with the way Clemson and Alabama played this past week. If they get in, they're probably going to get knocked out in the first round, Big C. Your thoughts?
Well, you got to, admire what Kelly has done there at Notre Dame and have this team undefeated, ranked number 3 in the country. All you can do is play the opponents that you have week to week. Now, you also got to remember they opened up the season and knocked off Michigan.
That's right.
There's a blip on Michigan's schedule. So regardless of what people may think about how Notre Dame is playing right now, you got to understand the reason why Michigan doesn't have a perfect record right now is because of Notre Dame.
Them Fighting Irish. Big C, speaking of Michigan, with a 42-7 easier than expected win over, at that time, number 13, Penn State. I know Penn State maybe lost it emotionally. Is Michigan as good as we saw, or does Penn State just play flat, Big C? Your thoughts?
Well, Michigan has gotten better as the season has gone on, Charlton. They're clicking on all facets of the offense. That defense has been outstanding. Even in the game that they lost to Notre Dame, Charlton, they were stalwarts on defense. Their offense just could not get anything going. Shea Patterson has dialed in, gotten comfortable in the offense, Charlton, and this offense has been productive. Ignan is a very solid running back. 120 yards a game. He's been pedaling out, Charlton. And that defense just put pressure on Penn State all day long.
Big C, Georgia 8-1, 34-17 win over number 12 Kentucky. That's a good, solid win. They have Auburn next. Your thoughts on Georgia? Did they still impress you, Big C?
Well, they locked up the SEC East title, Charlton, so they will face Alabama December 1st down in Atlanta. At that Bird Stadium down there is got the name of a car.
Could you explain why that Falcon in front of Mercedes-Benz Stadium has buckshot wounds in it, Big C? That make any sense?
Well, I think somebody had an ice pick or something like that. That's what that was. But, they dominated Kentucky, Charlton. They ran the ball over 250 yards on the ground. They got down to smash mouth football that the SEC had always been known for in the past. Kentucky couldn't get anything offensively against that great Georgia Bulldog defense. And, in a couple of weeks, you're going to see them in Alabama all over again, a rematch of the national championship game, Charlton.
All over again. Sometime the second time is better. Big C, Oklahoma, number 6, 8-1. They had a 51-46 win over Texas Tech. if you're a top 4 football team, you're not giving up 46 points, Big C. Your thoughts?
Well, you know, they've had problems all year long on defense. They fired the defensive coordinator, Stoops, a couple of weeks ago, Charlton. They installed Ruffin McNeil, former East Carolina head coach, and they didn't do any better. As a matter of fact, Ruffin McNeil used to be the defensive coordinator, Texas defensive coordinator at Texas when Mike Leach was down there. But, you know, this was just a high-powered game, Charlton. If you think about a couple of years ago when you had Baker Mayfield and Patrick Mahomes, you know, the most productive offensive game in college football history that night when those two played. And when you look at what Kyler Murray did this past weekend, 4 touchdown passes again, Charlton, Oklahoma is going to have a problem stopping anybody. But they will tell anybody we'll have a shootout with you.
That's definitely true, Big C. Ohio State 8-1, a 36-31 win over Nebraska. This is not that 95 Nebraska team that Tyler Osborne had beat Florida for the national championship. This is Nebraska. What's up with Ohio State, Big C?
Well, Charlton, this is a team that just lost identity offensively. You know, they were a throwing team early in the year. Now they're trying to convert back to a running team. When the weather gets a little cold, you know, you like to keep the ball on the ground up there in the Northeast, Charlton. And Urban Meyer, I don't know if he's motivating the players the way that they were motivated when he wasn't on the roster, Charlton.
I agree with that.
When he was suspended. It seems to be a tale of two tapes, Charlton, when you look at this scenario that's going on in Columbus. They're just not responding to Urban Meyer. I think, you know, they're going to have a struggle when Michigan comes to town in a couple of weeks.
Very much so. I'll tell you a game that you called it. You said it was going to be an over-the-top game, a game that they had to throw the ball. Both teams would throw the ball very well. And when I watched what happened with West Virginia on the road at Texas, they're 7-1 because they have a great quarterback. That guy is really off the hook. He seems like he's a grown man. They might want to check his ID, Big C. But again, he threw the football. West Virginia was just a come-from-behind win at Texas. That was just remarkable, Big C. Your thoughts?
Well, you know, just 3 weeks ago, everybody was saying Texas was back, Charlton. And I guess they are back to where they were before.
Back to where they normally do.
And you know, you look at where they are right now, Charlton. This was just a fabulous game. And, you know, as good as any game that was played on Saturday. The Oklahoma-Texas Tech game, Charlton, and the West Virginia-Texas game, Charlton, were probably the 2 most elite games in college football on that day, most competitive. You know, Texas was up, but, you know, Dana Holgorsen, Charlton, didn't let his team quit. And, you know, Will Greer, 4 touchdown passes once again, Charlton.
He's amazing.
You know, he willed his team to victory, Charlton. You throw a touchdown with 16 seconds to go, and then you have the ability to execute the 2-point play, Charlton. Even after Texas had called 2 timeouts, Charlton. The perseverance of those players never giving up. When we talk about people having a competitive edge and wanting to compete all the time, Charlton, you saw that in West Virginia on Saturday. That these young men were the epitome of what college football is all about.
I was really impressed with that game, Big C. In fact, on that touchdown pass, the last possession they had, there was a situation where it looked like they needed to call a timeout, and the broadcaster was saying, I think it was Gus Johnson, I really love his call of the game, but he was saying they need to call a timeout, and they didn't call a timeout. I'm thinking maybe he pulled a Dan Marino, looking like they were confused, and then hit the open man. Big C, Washington State, by the skin of their teeth, 8-1, a 19-13 win over Cal Berkeley up on the Palouse, and Mike Leach said, hey, we won the game, doesn't matter about how many points. Big C, your thoughts?
Well, I mean, he's so accurate in making that statement, Jonathan. But Gunnar Misha, you know, the quarterback there at Washington State, is a big-time player, just like we saw with Will Greer at West Virginia. You see that at Washington State, Jonathan. Misha has the ability to command his team, Jonathan. And when the team was down, you didn't see any panic in this young quarterback, Jonathan. He's leading the nation in passing this year, and it proved that in a game against Cal that he can bring it from behind to stay on top of the Pac-12, Charlton, and potentially get into that Pac-12 championship game.
I think that's important, Big C. I mean, you're going to win big, you're going to win small. Oklahoma won close game, but it was a higher scoring game. Washington State won a close game, but a low scoring game, but they still got to win. Big C, Central Florida, 8-0, a 52-40 win over Temple. We said it would be close. Central Florida, you got to win those close games too, Big C. Your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, Temple got up on them early. We talked about Temple beat them a couple of years ago. But, you know, when you come out and you stay with your game plan, there's no panic in Central Florida. 21 consecutive games, Charlton. Mackenzie Milton, an outstanding young quarterback from Hawaii, the longest winning streak in the country. This team, they believe in each other, and you see that when they play. Even though, Temple gave them a run for a Charleston,
Yep.
in the end, it was just the talent and the ability to stave off an opponent to pull Central Florida to a victory in this one.
Well, I was really impressed with that. Just a couple of more scores, Big C. Kentucky goes to 7-2 with that loss to Georgia. So nothing to write home about that. You lost, but you lost to a better team. LSU lost to Alabama. But that Syracuse game, Syracuse is 7-2, and they had a win over Wake Forest, 41-24. Now they play. This is a team, Syracuse, that could have done better in the season, but they've lost some close games. Obviously, that big loss they had the last minutes to Clemson really cost them a lot. Mississippi State 6-3 on the season, defeated Louisiana Tech. Utah State 8-1 on the season, and they defeated Hawaii 56-17. Fresno State, the best team in California, Big C, the Atlanta Vibranium, a 48-3 win over Las Vegas. Tedford, now they play at Boise State Friday. Big C, that's the marquee game on the West Coast. Big C, your thoughts?
Well, you think about it, the only ranked team in California, Fresno State.
Yeah.
Who would have thought that? I mean, we have to call some of the bookmakers and find out what's going on out there.
Yep.
But Boise has dominated out there, Charleston, in that Mountain Division out there
West.
for years.
Yeah. Yeah.
And now Fresno State has come up with Jeff Tedford, former alumni of that school. Matter of fact, when he coached there, I believe it was in '89 or somewhere around that time, Charleston, they were undefeated and a ranked team in the country.
Yeah.
And they were knocked off late in the season. But, he's got his team and the alumni believing there in Bulldog Nation, Charleston.
Yeah.
This is going to be a shootout with, Fresno State. Boise has an outstanding young quarterback in Ripon.
Yep.
And on that blue turf up there, Charleston, who knows what ducks may fly in there.
You never know, Big C. So we love college football all over this country. Big C had a great tailgating theme. I've been seeing more tailgating on programs, Big C. Can you just describe what tailgate, I guess you would say mew or livestock you served up, Big C?
Well, Charleston, we served up a lot of formerly live animals and stuff. That's what we did. We praise them for, the time that they spent on earth, and we appreciate the time that they spent in our bellies.
And you thank them for the sacrifice. I understand.
Yes, and we washed them down with some Big C juice.
Some Big C juice, I love it. I want to ask you what's in the Big C juice, but I'm afraid of the answer. Speaking of the Big C juice, we talk about how great Alabama looks. You've seen football from all over the years, Big C. I want to get Big C's thoughts, and everybody has their own opinion. But what would we say Big C's top 10 if you look at college football programs, not necessarily just teams, because year in and year out teams come and go. But when you think about it, you have that 2003 USC team that beat Michigan in the Rose Bowl. You have that 2004 USC team that beat Oklahoma down in the Orange Bowl. That 2005 Texas team that knocked off USC in the Rose Bowl. You have Florida from 2009 that beat Oklahoma. Ohio State that knocked off Oregon in 2015. A lot of people look back to the 2001 Miami Hurricanes that were national champions, the 91 Washington Huskies. I mean, you think about it, Nebraska from 1971, USC 1972, Nebraska 95. Everyone's comparing their programs to Alabama. Big C, your thoughts on those teams?
Well, Charleston, if I was to look at the most dominant program prior to what we see right now in Alabama, I got to go back and look at the Miami Hurricanes of the 80s, Charleston.
Yeah.
That was the most dominant football program that we had saw. If you look at a lot of the NCAA rules that exist now, Charleston, against players, it was implemented against this Miami team, Charleston, because they were so dominant. They came out of nowhere.
Yeah.
They were a losing program. Howard Schnellenberger goes down there, Charleston. He changes the climate down in Coral Gables. He put together a couple national championship teams. You think about it, Charleston. Schnellenberger wins the national championship.
Yeah.
Jimmy Johnson wins the national championship. Dennis Erickson wins the national championship.
Yeah.
Larry Cooper wins the national championship. You don't have any other program in the country, Charleston, that can sit over the span of a little more of a decade that you had 4 different coaches win national championships, and we're in the hunt for a couple of others.
Wow.
So when you think about the dominance that Alabama possesses now with Nick Saban, that's rarefied air. To have one coach to go in and dominate like that, Charleston, with one team. But people have so quickly forgot about the dominance of the University of Miami Hurricanes in the 80s and early 90s, Charleston, on the landscape of college football.
Yeah.
They were the rebels. I mean, they were that team, Charleston, that bad boy, that swagger, that they were must-see television. When the Miami Hurricanes were on primetime television, not only were they a vicious defensive team, Charlton, but they were a high-octane offensive team. You were going to be entertained. Alabama's done some of that, Charlton, with this year's team, with the surges of their offense. Becoming a high-powered offense. But that's what Miami showed you all the time. They came out with great quarterbacks, great skill position players, Charlton. They spent a lot of time in the NFL after college. And Alabama's the closest that we've seen to the Miami Hurricanes of the 80s and 90s, Charlton.
That's very good knowledge. There's 4 undefeated teams in college football. Alabama 9-0, Clemson 9-0, Notre Dame 9-0, and University of Central Florida at 8-0. Big C, I want to just get your thoughts real quick. We talked about it earlier. When you look at the NBA, and Magic Johnson calls a meeting with Luke Walton, and it's almost like the dentist when they give you that some type of gas or some type of shot before they do a cavity, Big C, and you say, hey, everything's fine, but you try to drink water, it's all over your shirt. Later in the day, you realize, man, my lip is numb, Big C. When Magic talks to Walton, and people are saying it's a motivational speech, and then right after that, they get beaten up pretty sadly by our friends from Canada in Toronto. I want to get your thoughts. When you lose 121-107, and you're the Lakers, and you bite on LeBron James, you didn't bring LeBron James to be, 5 games under 500 at the 15-game mark, Big C. Your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, you got to look at when Luke Walton was hired with this team, the Los Angeles Lakers. He was hired to develop young players that they were building a foundation with. He came in at the end of the Kobe Bryant era, and the cupboards were empty. So, he came in on a project situation. He didn't come in there. No one told him that they expected him to oust the Golden State Warriors and win the Western Division title. They didn't tell him to compete. They just said develop the young players that in 4 to 5 years we can now ascend back to the top. All of a sudden they bring in this band of misfits. And ironically, Charlton, that's what you got. You got a band of misfits. You brought in LeBron James. You brought in everybody else on a one-year deal. Lance Stevens, JaVale McGee, Rondo. All these guys come in on one-year contracts, Charlton. They're not coming in to be a staple in Los Angeles. Magic Johnson, when he signed these guys, he didn't sign them to build a franchise with. And I don't understand what Magic's thoughts are when he said, okay, I'm going to go after, the coach Walton. And I put all these misfits together. He didn't sign them. That's the thing. A coach will always be an scapegoat. Now, there's plenty of former coaches out there, Charlton, that are available. We talked about Byron Scott, former Laker. We talked about Tyronn Lue, former Laker. There's also Mark Jackson, who's sitting out there broadcasting. But I don't know if anybody that you bring in, Charlton, can put this group of guys together. You're talking about where's the identity of the Lakers? In the past, the identity has always been LeBron wherever he's gone. And now when you got these young guys, you got to look at the young guys, Charlton, that are there. You got to look at the ball kids. You got to look at Ingram, Kuzma. They'll say, we'll be here beyond you. We can outlast you. You're on a 4-year deal. At the 4 years, we're looking at signing our max deals in the NBA. That's what they're looking at. So you got to think about these young guys that, were in kindergarten, grammar school, Charlton, when LeBron started in the NBA. They always watched LeBron. They're not enamored by LeBron anymore because they're in the NBA, and they're trying to gain their own niche. So to go after Walton, which all the media is going to, ride behind Magic because Magic knows what he's doing. Magic's been in this position before, okay? Magic tried coaching the Lakers. Magic failed as a coach of the Lakers, okay? We always talk about players that are great can't teach other players, Charlton, because they see the game through their lens. They don't see it through the game of other players. They see it through their lens. So all these guys that are riding Magic coattail, go back to when Magic was the coach of the Lakers and see how long that lasted before he had to go. Okay? He didn't know what he was doing at that point. So if you couldn't coach, how are you going to evaluate another coach? And he's been in management with the Lakers before also. So he's played both of those roles. He's been the coach and he's been in management. And look at both times that he was with the Lakers in those roles, Charlton. They were a losing franchise.
I just want to run down a couple of things in the NBA, then we get on some NFL big time. Indiana, they're a 1-point favorite over Houston. They're at home. Detroit, they're a 1-point favorite over Miami. Orlando's favorite by 3 over Cleveland. And you look at New York, they're favored by 3 over Chicago. Oklahoma City favored by 4.5 over New Orleans. I don't know if I believe in that. Denver favored by 2 over Boston. That's a tough one, but I know Denver's tough at home. Not a lot of air to breathe up in Denver, Big C. And it might be some of that smoke that Boston probably used to the smoke since the Red Sox won the World Series. The same kind of smell they'll have in the air up in Denver, so maybe they'll sneak that win tonight, Big C. Well, yeah, that's what you call them, yeah. Homemade cigars, Big C. Also, Utah, 1-point favorite over Toronto. Golden State favored by 14 over Memphis. And the Clippers favored by 1 over Minnesota. That game is in L.A. So we know all's fair in love and war. Whether Walton keeps his job or not, you know, he didn't go to the finals 3 years in a row by himself. Tyronn Lue got fired for going to the NBA Finals and being Eastern Conference champions 3 years in a row. That wasn't enough to keep his job. So who knows where Walton's going to end up. I still want to get one more thought. Who would you look at coming into L.A. once Magic says, hey, this is the second. You know when you get back to this, Big C, because they didn't fix it right the first time? Who do you think would be a good fit in L.A., Big C? Your thoughts?
The 3 guys that I just named, Mark Jackson's there, Byron Scott's there, Tyronn Lue's there. I think Mark Jackson, you might get the most out of Mark Jackson. Because he sees the game every day. And he understands all the balance of the game. Even his broadcast partner, Charlton, wouldn't be a bad choice either. So, Van Gundy. But, you know, this thing with the Lakers, I mean, you got a odd mix of players. And it's not going to be a quick fix. There's not going to be anybody that comes into this Lakers organization, Charlton, this year or next year to automatically make them a 30 better win team, Charlton. It's just not.
That's a good point, Big C. And everybody knows that. It's just a matter of when it happens. I do want to say, get out to vote, everybody. We talked about it before. You know, Veterans Day is approaching, Sunday, November the 11th. Take a moment to appreciate those individuals who served. You do that by voting. Get out and vote. I know them good old boys down in Texas, especially my African-American brethren. It pains me that some people went to college just to talk about football. And when I see Hall of Fame players down in the heart of Texas, and they're so unconscious, so unintelligent, that they won't even mention get out and vote. They're talking about, can you believe how many yards this guy's going to pass for tonight? Oh, our franchise is the best in the universe. I mean, come on. We're more than that. I'm sure Dr. King would think, I gave my life for this. Come on, guys. We gotta do more than that. I want to say sports is $1 billion industry, and boys and girls sports is the foundation of this $1 billion industry. For every athletic and sporting event, you need athletic and event insurance. We work with Ben and Mark. They've been around half a century. They work with Big C Sports. Whether you're a pro team, a college team, a high school team, even your mom and pop soccer league, when you reach out to them, let them know that Big C sent you. Also, Big C, we saw a lot happening in the world of the NFL. And everybody knows that we have the greatest time of year. We're only at the halfway point, but boy, it sure seems like we have a lot of good teams right now that are playing even playoff caliber football, Big C. I just want to get your thoughts as we run down some games. The Chargers might be the second best team in the AFC, and people say, well, there's still Kansas City and there's New England. The Chargers 25-17 over the Seahawks up at that stadium. What a win. They had Seattle on the ropes the whole day, Big C. Your thoughts?
Well, when you look at the Chargers, Charlton, they got the longest win streak in the NFL. They won 7 consecutive games. So when you're talking about a hot team going up there, they were hotter than fish grease up there in the fish market in Seattle. Okay, and they ran up and down the field on those Seahawks. You know, we talk about those big receivers that the 49ers, I mean not the 49ers, but the Chargers have. And they're hard to cover, Charlton. They're a mismatch problem for his secondary in the NFL, and Seattle got a chance to see that firsthand. Phillip Rivers, I mean, here's a guy that's been in the NFL 15 years now, Charlton. And, you know, he hasn't slowed down a bit. You know, he's outperforming Roethlisberger and both Manning. Okay?
He is. It's so impressive. And I just want to throw one more thought, because a lot of the coaches on the sidelines, they had the military garb on. Because I have family members that served in the military. My father was Air Force. I have a brother who was in the Army. You know, Memorial Day is for Fallen Veterans Day. Those who are serving at the present time and those who served in the past, I just want to say we appreciate you here at Big C Sports. We're more than just the score. We take time to pay homage to you all, and I just wanted to bring that up, Big C. Back to the world of the NFL. The Texans and the Broncos played a better game than I thought they had played, but the winner came out on top. I thought the Texans would come out on top. 1917 in the land of Mile High, and high could be a double entendre, Big C. Your thoughts?
Well, you got to look at Demaryius Thomas, who was just traded to Texas.
Yeah.
Was very impactful in this game, Charlton. Scored a touchdown for the Texans against the Denver Broncos. And now the Texans have a 6-game winning streak, Charlton. They're on top of their division. Deshaun Watson has found his stride from his rookie year, Charlton, after that horrific knee injury he had in practice last year. And this defense of the Texans, they're healthy. And they're led by 3, Clowney, Merciless, and Watt, Charlton.
Yeah.
3 all-pro performers, Charlton, that are getting out the opposing offenses and raising havoc.
Yep.
And Denver right now is questioning himself, as we talked about with Magic Johnson. John Elway's in that same boat. Can I evaluate talent?
Yeah, sometimes you got to breathe natural air, Big C, when you evaluate talent, Big C, read between the lines. The Saints go marching in. Oh, my goodness. That was a first down when the Rams tried that fake field goal. It was a first down. If you looked at the yellow line on TV, but it comes back to my friend, my broadcast Hall of Famer in the Golden Circle. Our job is to convince people that they did not see what they just saw with their eyes. And then also, you talk about Brees, how well he plays. He had a good game, not the best game, but a good game. And then when you look at Goff, sometimes you throw a pick and it costs you, Big C. Give me your thoughts on what may have been the second best game of the NFL yesterday. Your thoughts?
Well, no, Charlton, it was the best game of the NFL yesterday. That shootout down there in the Crescent City. I mean, you had 2 outstanding quarterbacks, the young gun and the old goat, as they would say. The old and unsexy goat. Because, all the accolades were given prior to yesterday about the shootout up there in New England.
Yeah.
The supposed shootout.
Right.
But, I mean, you got to find another excuse for Aaron Rodgers eventually.
Yeah.
But Drew Brees, regardless of what he does, he will never get the credit from the NFL, broadcasters about how good he is, Charlton.
Yeah.
Jared Goff has been hot as any quarterback around the Rams. Has been playing undefeated football until they went down to New Orleans.
Yeah.
You can't take a team into New Orleans the day before the game. You got to show up at the game because they get down there on Bourbon Street, Charlton. They don't know how to act. All of a sudden, they don't understand what curfew is. They eat too much fried food. They get a little sluggish. And New Orleans gets up on you early. And we saw that with the Rams.
Yeah.
But, this New Orleans team, you think about the shootout they had the first week of the season against Tampa Bay.
Yeah.
When they scored 41 points and gave up 48.
Yeah.
But, Drew Brees has not slowed down. He's completing almost 80% of his passes.
Amazing.
But when you look at the balance that they have offensively, I mean, Drew is outstanding. But when you look at what Ingram and Gilmore can do in the backfield, Charles, taking the pressure off of Drew Brees, allowing him to throw screen passes, and not only that, hit Thomas at the sideline, Charlton, who had 211 yards in receiving in the game. But this New Orleans defense, as much as they gave up, they still held the offense of the Rams in check, Charlton, to allow the Saints to win.
Yeah,
and now they've won 7 consecutive games.
Incredible. 487 in total offense for New Orleans, 483 for the Rams. When I look at the quarterback performance, Brees was 25 of 36, 348 yards, and Goff had 391 yards. He was 28 of 40 through that pick. But, just an amazing game. Love the way the NFL is playing right now, Big C. The Bears, 42-9 over the Bills. I'm surprised the Bills even scored, but the Bears beat them down pretty soundly, Big C. Your thoughts?
Well, you got to think about this Bills organization, Charlton, and they're most likely to go out and pick up another quarterback this week because Sam Bradford was just released by the Cardinals over the weekend, so he's available. Yeah. And the Bills
enough of Sam Bradford, Big C, please. They may as well go out and get who's available. Is Jim Plunkett he can still throw it. He's a Hall of Famer at least, Big C.
Well, he had a shoulder replacement, so he got an artificial shoulder. So he might be a little mechanical when trying to get rid of the ball. You got to think about this Bills team, Charlton. They haven't had a quarterback throw a touchdown in 4 games.
Wow.
They have not thrown a touchdown in 4 games. Nathan Peterman was Nathan Peterman. He threw 3 interceptions to the Bears. Yeah. This is an organization. If they want to talk about firing coaches, I know they talked about Gruden. I mean, I got to go to Buffalo and fire the coach. I got to fire the GM Because if this is the best product that you can put on the field week after week,
yeah,
you're perpetrating is what you're doing.
Yeah,
John.
they are perpetrating. Big C, don't blame Peterman. Blame the guy that keeps signing his paycheck, okay? Start drug testing some of these owners. When you think about players that can play, the Chiefs 37, Browns 21, Patrick Mahomes, just love watching this guy play. Imagine how good he's going to be in 3 years. Normally, back in the day, if you came on as a rookie, you would sit the bench for 2 years. This guy's right out of the chute, Big C. Imagine in 3 years what he's going to be doing. Your thoughts on a nice 37-21 win over the Browns?
Well, Charlton, he's being Patrick Mahomes. He's just riding the wave is what he's doing. 375 yards, 3 touchdowns once again. I mean, this has become status quo for the Kansas City Chiefs.
Yeah.
When you look at this team and you look at the offensive weapons that they possess, they had one of the offensive weapons that didn't even show up this week, Kareem Hunt,
yeah,
who was normally a highlight reel within them. Not Kareem Hunt, but Tyreek Hill. Who was normally a highlight reel within himself.
Yeah.
This team has gotten better defensively. That's what people are not understanding about the Chiefs. We understand what Patrick Mahomes is doing. He's playing at an all-pro and MVP caliber.
Yeah.
But the Chiefs' defense is getting better each week. And I got to look at Eric Bieniemy, the offensive coordinator. I know Andy Reid is going to constantly get, his quota and praise from the media.
Yeah.
Other teams with great offensive stuff, they always talk about the offensive coordinator.
Yeah.
No one, in New England, they're always talking about Josh McDaniels, the offensive coordinator. No one wants to talk about Eric Bieniemy, the offensive coordinator in Kansas City, because he's black.
Yep.
He's one of only 2 black offensive coordinators in the NFL. Brian Leftwich was elevated to that position in Arizona a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah.
But when you look at what Eric Bieniemy has done all year long with Patrick Mahomes, Andy Reid has been the coach in Kansas City for a decade.
Over a decade, yeah.
Eric Bieniemy is first-year offensive coordinator.
Yep.
Look at what this offense has done under this first-year offensive coordinator, Charlton.
Yeah.
He should be the assistant coach of the year in the NFL.
He should be a head coach by the next 2 years or so, Big C. He does not need the Rooney Rule. Just look at the numbers. I want to get you something that people talked about so much, how we hype so much. I just got to bring up this point. You guys get out and vote. Please get out and vote. I'm talking about vote. Go vote. Every state, vote. We're not telling you who to vote for, but Google what's going on in politics and vote. Big C, the NFL's been pumping these 2 guys for over a decade. You look at Tom Brady. He's earned it, 5 Super Bowl championships. Aaron Rodgers, who really has not earned the accolades. He has 1 Super Bowl championship. He's good. No one's knocking him. But you would think he has at least 2 Super Bowl championships. He only has 1. 31-17. And I think he showed that he's really no match for what the Patriots put up against him. You could blame someone for having a fumble. You can blame someone for having a turnover. But when it came down to it, he could not will his team to a win. Big C, your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, I mean, you run out of excuses eventually. Last week against the Rams, it was Montgomery fumbling the ball. He didn't get a chance. He didn't give Rodgers a chance with 2 minutes to go in the game.
Yeah.
Okay, he had the ball last night, 2 minutes to go in the game. It didn't make a difference. Okay?
No.
New England, it's always the next man up. When you look at what they can do offensively with their players.
Yep.
I mean, when you had Cordell Patterson playing running back last night, this is a wide receiver, Charlton.
Yeah.
Playing running back, just like Montgomery did in Green Bay. When the team needed you, you stepped up to that position.
Yeah.
New England, they didn't even have Gronkowski last night at tight end, Charlton.
No.
But they have enough players that are willing to make plays. That rookie running back Michel's not in the lineup.
Nope.
You don't see New England making excuses for players not being in the lineup. Other broadcasters are making excuses when Green Bay is not performing. Green Bay won't make the playoffs this year as you look at their season going, Charlton.
Yeah.
Because Minnesota and Chicago will make the playoffs out of that division. Green Bay, then it will come back later that Rodgers is hurt. Okay, if he's hurt, why is he playing? You can't keep making excuses because talent doesn't always stay on the top. It's amazing when you look in the NFL, the more money players get, the less their performance becomes.
Yep.
Enough said right there.
Also, a guy who can't get a job, Colin Kaepernick's downfall was that he beat Tom Brady on the road. He also beat Aaron Rodgers twice. He beat Matt Ryan. He beat all the guys that are still making $100 million, and he can't get a job because they say he can't play. But see, I want to get your thoughts. The Dolphins, 13, the Jets, 6. Not an incredible game, but still it was a game. Your thoughts on Darnold is leading the league in interceptions. Didn't we tell them that would happen, Big C? Your thoughts?
Well, you can go back to USC, Charlton. The guy, I believe, played 24 games or something like that at USC and had 21 interceptions.
Yeah.
So he's right on line with what he's done throughout his career, collegiate and professional.
Yeah.
He has never been a quarterback, Charlton, that was comfortable in the pocket. He was rated by your buddies McShay and Kuiper as a can't miss. He can't miss the DBs right now. I mean, his best friend is Nathan Peterman, and they both play in the state of New York. They call each other and say, how many did you throw this week?
Yeah. Darnold has 14 interceptions on the season. Actually, at USC, 27 games and 24 interceptions, Big C. And there were some that would drop. Not knocking the man, but he would have done better off had he stayed at USC for at least another year.
Todd Bowles going to lose his job with the Jets as a head coach because he's insisted on playing Darnold at quarterback. And I don't know if that move was just his or management saying, who do you go to? I mean, you got McCown sitting on the bench, but he was in an insurance policy.
Yeah.
So you're playing Darnold, and you end up losing your job because you're playing this rookie quarterback that you say you want him to figure it out on the run.
That's a very good point. Big C, the Vikings, 34-9 over the Lions. What a game. It looks like they're playing better. I mean, they're playing. It was the Lions. It was actually 24-9 over the Lions. And I want to get your thoughts on, it was the Lions, though. It's not really a big win, Big C. Your thoughts?
Well, what did the Lions do? They just traded their best receiver, Golden Tate, to Philadelphia, Charlton.
Yeah.
And so Matthew Stafford had nobody to throw to. You think about it. In this game, Matthew Stafford got sacked 10 times, Charlton, in the last 3 quarters. Okay?
Wow.
10 times from the second through the fourth quarter, he was sacked. He didn't have Golden Tate, his number one receiver, to go to, Charlton, because now he's a Philadelphia Eagle. So when you sit there and say, well, this is how the game works out. Well, when you lessen yourself with opportunities to win, Charlton, that's how it's going to pan out. You get rid of your best receiver. Your quarterback has no outlet. He gets sacked 10 times in the game. So your cousin comes up with another victory in Minnesota.
He's not my cousin, but he's taking that money home for sure, Big C. The Falcons, 38-24 over the Redskins up at Washington, D.C. And, I mean, you can think about all you want. The Falcons are playing better football now. I don't know what it is, but Julio Jones gets his first touchdown out of about 100 catches. And if you look at what Ryan did, he threw for 350 yards. He was 26 of 38. He had 1 pick. Alex Smith with 30 of 46, 1 pick, and 306. I like the way Atlanta started to play. It's like a desperate bird. When it's desperate, Big C, it tends to play a little bit better, Big C. Your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, when you look at the Redskins, Adrian Peterson didn't get a chance to touch the ball. I think he only touched the ball 12 times in the game, Charlton. Yeah. And you look at the games that the Skins have won, he's touched the ball at least 24 times.
Yeah.
And when you don't put him in the offense, you don't
get him ready to get warmed up and do all the things that he has to do, Big C. Is that what you're saying? So he has to get warmed up, Big C, having a little bit of issue with the microphone. It is voting night in America. If Big C Sports can do our show with a tapped line, you guys can get out and vote with an untapped line, Big C. Your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, when Peterson needs to get warmed up and he's not touching the ball 12 times, is not going to get your running back warm in the game.
No.
And it's not going to slow down the opponent's pass rush, Charlton, because you no longer have the challenge of the play fake.
Yeah.
All right?
Yep.
And so Atlanta is a team, when you think about the division that they're in, 3 teams made the playoffs from that division last year.
Yeah.
And so they seem to be in stride again to do that. The Saints are hot. The Atlanta's getting hot now, Charlton. The Panthers in that same division.
Yep.
But the Redskins, they're still on top of the NFC East, Charlton. It's just they got to find a way, and they're going to have a tough game coming up this week. But without Peterson running the ball, Charlton, nobody's scared.
Yeah, and as you get older, you do need to touch the ball at least 15 times to get that Geritol working in your system. You see, they got to let them tote the rock a little bit more. The Steelers and the Ravens, 23-16. I wonder if Terry Bradshaw still wants Tomlin fired for winning, Big C. Steelers 23, Ravens 16, and now Harbaugh's coming under the hot seat, even with the Super Bowl in his back pocket. A great win for the Steelers on the road at Baltimore. Does Le'Veon Bell sign and get the $14.5 million? Does he set out on principle? I think $14.5 million, you can buy some principle, Big C. Your thoughts?
Well, once he signs, it won't be the $14.5 million. You got to subtract about $980,000 each game, Charlton, that he's missed.
Yeah.
He should sign, though, by the end of this week, Charlton. He should be in Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
Tenure in that contract, so he gets credit for another year and allow him to get into free agency. But when you look at what the Steelers are doing, Charlton, that defense has gotten better in Pittsburgh. That's the thing that they've gotten much better with. Ben Roethlisberger and Antonio Brown are doing their things. James Conner, another 130 yards of offense, Charlton, in this game.
Yeah.
They're rolling. And, that once formidable defense of Baltimore has gone somewhere as of late. And Joe Flacco shows up when he wants to.
Yeah, you feel like he said he'll play when he wants to. I think there's a lot of athletes around the league that have that same mentality. I want to look at the game. The Panthers 42-28 over the Buccaneers. And there's something about Cam Newton. This team has really been coming on strong with Cam Newton as a leader. Sometimes it looks like maybe he could play with more passion, like he's a little bit too relaxed. He was 19-25, 247 yards, almost a perfect game, Big C. And his counterpart, Fitzpatrick, 24 of 40, had 2 picks, 243 yards. I think Cam Newton may have had the best game of the weekend, but it's unassuming because they're still kind of flying under the radar. But I thought he could be right up there as the best performance of the week, Big C. Your thoughts?
Well, Cam has to find some consistency. Even in this win, Charlton, you got to think about it. They scored 35 points in the first half, the Panthers did.
Yeah.
They only got 7 in the second half, so there was some inconsistency with Cam in the second half. Even though he utilized his legs in his game, you got to think about the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, Charlton. When you're playing them, you know you're going to dial up 40 points.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a given that the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are going to give up 40 points to whoever they're playing this year. They are. But, the Carolina Panthers are rolling right now, and, 3 consecutive wins, Charlton, where he's had some good offense.
Yeah.
Cam just needs to keep the ball rolling. Greg Olsen has really helped them coming back on offense, at tight end.
Yeah. Big C, we're going to close out tonight's game by just getting your thoughts again on Dallas and Tennessee. Is Mariota really a $100 million quarterback, perhaps, the way he's playing? I think Prescott can be, as long as they get some good receivers around him. And when you think about it, when people talk about coaching, Jerry Jones fired Jimmy Johnson after winning 2 Super Bowls, Big C. So it's not as if he likes people that win. And no matter what happens with Dallas, they want to put all the pressure on Prescott. I really think you got to look at the receiving core for Dallas. Will Cooper make a difference in Dallas? Who knows? We'll find out tonight. But give me your feeling on tonight's game, Big C. It's all about the quarterbacks. It's really about the ownership of these teams, Big C. Your thoughts?
Well, when you look at Dallas, he got rid of Jimmy Johnson because Jimmy Johnson could give a press conference and the media wanted to talk to him. And I don't care what people think about it. That's the reason why Jimmy Johnson was no longer coaching in Dallas, is because the media could talk to him and he could command the media.
Yeah.
And every other coach he's had in there, other than Bill Parcells, he's given the press conferences for.
Yeah.
But when you look at the Tennessee Titans, I don't know if Vrabel understands enough about offense to have Mariota as a quarterback.
Yeah.
He grew up in that system in New England playing linebacker. He went to Kansas City. He played more of a control system, there when he was on the defensive side of the football there.
Yeah.
And Andy Reid's type of offense didn't match what Mariota does offensively.
Yeah.
And so he needs a different offensive coordinator to make Mariota be what he was coming out of college. He hasn't seen that type of offensive coordinator.
Yeah. Well,
one of the things they really need to work on.
Yeah.
In Dallas, they just got to find a way to get the ball to Cooper.
Yeah.
Let Elliott run at Charlton, and they'll be okay.
Yeah, and we've got to make sure we have some clean issues with your microphone, Big C, little static, but we'll fix that. We know that somebody's tapping in the Big C. It might be Putin, but no, Putin doesn't control the United States elections. Oh, yes, he does, Big C. Hopefully we'll get that worked out with them good old boys on the network. Big C, I know there's so much going on in the sports universe. We really want to encourage people, get out and vote. The vote's tomorrow night. You got to get out Tuesday. Tell your friends, tell your family. Don't be a sycophant. If you're a sports guy, please at least mention it for 1 minute. Just 1 minute. You run 60-second commercials. Tell Americans to get out to vote, at least the ones who watch your programs, because they don't have any other way to get news. They're too stupid. They're hooked on sports. Big C, back in the day, there was a man by the name of Drew Boudini Brown. He was known as Muhammad Ali's right-hand man. He would always tell Ali, with all you got to use, how can you lose? Rumble, young men rumble. Big C, what are you looking forward to in the sports universe?
Well, Charlton, as we're moving through the middle of the NFL season, I'm looking forward to this second half. We're going to figure out who's going to be the pretenders, who's going to be the contenders, who is going to get fired as head coach. That's going to be coming up. That will be the next hot topic in the NFL. What coach is on the hot seat and who has to go?
Well, I'll tell you what, Big C. They say sometimes all fair in love and war, and it is. Get out and vote every Monday through Friday at 5 and 6 p.m. worldwide. Follow Big C Sports on the Big C Sports Network, on the #1 network in the United States of America. And Big C Sports has been voted the #1 sports show in the universe, according to Big C. And the good old boys down south, as we always tell you, there's never, ever any excuse for domestic violence. If you know any man or woman going through that garbage, please call 911, because no man or woman should ever have to go through that garbage all on their own. And as we always tell you on every Big C Sports show, we thank you, we appreciate you, and we hope that you have a super fantastic day.